time to wine. Hey!
Welcome to Caribbean Connections, your weekly dose of Caribbean vibes, featuring poetry, cricket commentary, special guests, and more. I'm your host, Sarojini, and stay tuned for an hour of great Caribbean programming.
Morning, neighbor, morning. Morning, neighbor, morning. Morning, neighbor, morning. I don't want your conniving morning. When you been a group, you not been tell me morning. But now because you money down, you hustle for tell me morning. Why? Gio, go, girl. Away you go.
Hello to you. Good afternoon. I'm used to saying, pardon me, good morning, so I have to make sure I'm saying good afternoon. Well, guys, here we are. Caribbean Connection, CHMR 93.5 FM, or on your dial, 93.5, or online, chmr.ca. Happy Friday! I am your host, Sarojini, and we are broadcasting live from the campus of Memorial University and in St. John's on the beautiful snowy island. Oh my gosh, we have a winter wonderland, everybody, for those of you who don't live here. But also, we have a very special guest in the studio with us, interior designer, extraordinaire, and a dear friend of ours, my family and I, Rowena Courtney Williams. So don't touch that dial. In a few minutes, she will give us some wonderful tips on how to make our homes look really smashing for the holidays. But for now, let's ring in this beautiful Christmas and this Wonderland kind of Friday here on the island of Newfoundland. And we're going to hear the hip swaying track by Byron Lee. It's going to be Christmas Soca Party. And of course, I would like to do a special shout out. And we're going to welcome everybody listening in St. John's and around the island, and in Toronto, Regina, Saskatoon, Calgary, Vancouver, Maple Ridge, New York, Connecticut, Washington, D.C., Warnemünde, Germany, by the beautiful Baltic Sea, Berlin, Germany, Naples, Italy, and New Delhi, India. Welcome back. I am your host, Sarojini. You're listening to Caribbean Connections here on CHMR 93.5 FM. And guys, we have here in the studio with us Rowena Courtney Williams. So I'll just tell you a little something about Rowena. She is, of course, an alumnus of Memorial for several years ago, but we wouldn't say how long. And after about 2 decades in communications with the Royal Newfoundland Constabulary, she decided to continue with the company she founded, High Notions. Incidentally, she started High Notions while working with the RNC. Now, having decorated for the residence of the King of Qatar while he was here in Newfoundland and Labrador, also for TV personalities, premieres, government offices, and of course the arena where the Juno Awards were held, the Mile 1 Center, a few years ago. Rowena feels that she continues to be inspired with and to inspire all the clients that she has worked with, including Eric White and the former host Ambrose Price with HGTV. Now, in its 30th year, her decorating and design career has welcomed many folks from all walks of life, including myself. Rowena, welcome.
Thank you.
Now, the big question, how did you get into this decorating and design? Take us back a little bit to the beginning.
Well, I think I always had a little flair for it. I can remember coming from a small place like Woody Island when my mother's sister would send up clothes and things, and of course, me being the skinny little thing, I wanted some of that clothes, and I didn't always fit into it. So I would go in the room and take the scissors and cut up the skirts and blouses and pants and make stuff for me. So of course that I was probably 8 years old, so I knew then that I had a little flair for this thing, and then but I just kind of hid it under the bushel, and I didn't do much until I got a little older, and then I realized that I had an interest in decorating. And
you actually, while you worked in communications with the Royal Newfoundland Constabulary, we had discussed, and I know this from knowing you for a few years too, you sort of did that on the side too, right?
Yeah. Yes, I always gave pointers to people and help when I could to give them ideas, and I had a big interest in houses, and I love to build them and decorate them.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, of course, we have so many questions, and not to, take away from what you said, just to give people an idea how you got into this. So, the big question I find on a lot of people's mind is when Christmas time comes around, the colors, color of the tree, color of the decorations, color of everything. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah. Well, a lot of, what we do now, of course, one time it was just the regular, red and green and that. But now a lot of people match with their decor, your cushions your curtains. And you can have like royal blue and greens or aquas and yellows or pinks. Anything now goes for Christmas colors, and you can go with the neutrals, the golds and silvers and that. But
so say you're a standard traditional green tree, right? And I mean, here we are at Memorial. We have a cross section of people here. We've got professors, we've got the staff, we've got students, we've got people coming in to do all kinds of things at Memorial. So for the benefit of the students, Christmas, if somebody just wants to go and put up one little tree just to, feel at home, say, suppose they're away from their family, whether they're an international student or they're living across the island and they want to do something, what is your recommendation on that?
Well, they can go out and cut a little tree, I guess, and make sure you put it in a bucket of water, but or go to places like the thrift stores and the dollar stores and pick up your little tree, and you can get a lot of things at the Dollarama and places like that. And if they got something from their country, or like I say, most of it is very cheap at the dollar stores to put up a little tree, something memorabilia or whatever, and or something from your home that your parents had or whatever, And as I said, all colors go, so it just doesn't matter.
And you're right, with the thrift stores. I mean, I love thrift shopping, and I go almost every season, things that you could even revamp and do yourself, even for outdoors. And right now, there are trees, there are decorations in big packages, right?
Yeah.
So are you talking something like that? Just grab something and put it together nicely. It doesn't have to be elaborate, right?
No, it doesn't have to be. It can be up on a table or in a corner, and sometimes you can even find little trees at those stores already decorated, And what I always do as well is to make the tree look even more exquisite. I fill in the bottom of the tree with a whole lot of a little, ornaments and things that make the bottom look full, and you can even make a few little boxes of presents to match up and put it under the tree,
Nowadays, you can get a lot of pre-lit trees. So what are your thoughts on that?
The pre-lit tree, there can't be anything made any better than a pre-lit tree. It's just, effortless. And, it's so easy to put it up, and lights are always so even. And if they go out, you can always fill in with a little string of lights, But it's a godsend, really. Yeah.
And I know a lot of people are actually moving into that, even if they still have their old ones,
and some people still like to go and cut their tree. It's a traditional thing, and that's totally up to them. But for me, I just use the artificial. And what I do is I go out and I buy a spray that smells like apples, or or a spiced apple or pine, and I spray my tree and my wreaths, and that makes the house smell like I got a real Christmas tree.
You know what? That's an awesome idea, because my next question was going to be a real tree versus an artificial. Is there any advantage one over the other?
Well, you know, like I find the trees that you buy are fluffier and fuller unless you get a real good tree. But for me, it's messy and I don't bother with them, you know, but and a lot of people don't now. But still, if that's what you like, fine, you know, but it's still pretty and it smells good, but just got to be careful with drying out and that.
Exactly. I was in the wonderful Newfoundland Chocolate Company. You going there too,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
On Duckworth, and of course they've got it decorated so beautifully. And I notice a lot of skinny trees, like in groups of 3s or 2s, are
Yes.
coming back, and they actually look really good.
Yes.
So how would you feel, or what would you say about like a skinny tree in a corner
Yes.
somewhere?
Absolutely. You
How
know,
would
if
you
you
get-
don't have the room in an apartment or in your house, you know, you can put it in the corner and you can leave it, you know, with sparse. Just put a few decorations on it, light it up or whatever. They're very beautiful and they're tall. And they're nice by a fireplace or in a little den or somewhere where you just want to make it look a little Christmassy when you're watching TV, you know?
Right, and
But,
you touched on a good point where if you have a lack of space, and
Yes.
students can
Yes.
relate to that.
Of
and
course.
we all at one point at school,
Yes.
we had small apartments. I
Yeah.
know we did.
Yeah.
So having something in a corner
Yes.
that doesn't spread out
Yeah.
is a real good idea, right?
Yeah, I learned some of these little tricks from, you know, the well-known St. John's decorator, Eric White. I learned a lot from Eric. We used to do the living room stores all around St. John's, and I learned a lot from Eric and how to, you know, fit things in little spaces, and you know, he's a great decorator.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Eric.
Yeah.
Here's Rowena. So, hey, listen, guys, we have a lot more to talk about with Rowena. So, in the meantime, in keeping with our beautiful conversation, we are going to hear one of my favorite groups, Pentatonics, Deck the Halls.
Deck the halls with boughs of hot leaf, fa la 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 la. 'Tis the season to be jolly, fa la 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 la. Don we now our gay apparel, fa la 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 la. Control the ancient Yuletide carol, fa la 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 la. Fa la 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 la. Fa la 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 la, fa la la la. Ooh, fa la 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 la. Fa la 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 la, fa la la la. See the blazing new before us, fa la 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 la. Fa la 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 la.
Strike the harp and join the chorus. Follow me in merry measure. Fa la 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 la. Fa la 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 la.
While I tell of Yuletide treasure.
Fa la 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 la. Fa la 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 la.
Oh yeah.
Fa la la la. Fa la 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 la. Fa la la la.
Fast away the old year passes, fa la 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 la.
La 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 la.
Health and new year lads and lasses.
La 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 la. Fa la 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 la. Sing we joyous all together. Oh,
Heedless of the wind and weather.
la 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 la.
Hey!
La 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 la.
Oh,
La 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 fa la la la.
deck the halls with boughs of holly.
La 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 la.
'Tis the season to be jolly. Fa la 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 la. Join me now, I get a apparel. Fa la 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 la. Troll the ancient Yuletide carol. Fa la 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 la. Fa la 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 la. Fa la 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 la
Welcome back. I am your host, Sarojini, and you're listening to Caribbean Connections, and we are celebrating Christmas here. And we have a very special guest in the studio here with us, Rowena Courtney Williams, and our interior designer extraordinaire. I love that title, Rowena. And we are talking about, of course, everybody's favorite topic this time of year, Christmas. So, Rowena, moving on, let's talk a little bit about wreaths. That's the big thing. I always feel like when you're coming into a house, the wreath tells the story of what is to come inside the house. So what are your thoughts, your tips, and everything on finding not the best wreath, but maybe the right one for your door?
Yeah. The wreath is certainly the welcoming, point when you when you come to the door, or open your door, I guess. It'll welcome you, and you can match it with your interior, or you can have it, the traditional red and white. Certainly a welcoming accent to the door, and you can. You can buy the portable lights now, clear, or you can buy the multicolored lights. And you can just tuck, they're battery operated, so you can just tuck them in around the lights, and you can use 2 or 3 sets if you wish, and they don't freeze up, and you can light up your wreath on the outside of your door with these lights.
I noticed you brought in a little string there.
Yes.
Explain that one you have here in the studio, Rowena.
This is the multicolored one, and which I'm still, I'm from old school, and I still like the multicolored lights. I went off them for a while, and I like the white and that, but I think white's pretty in the summer on your patio or whatever, and it's still pretty Christmas time. But there's something about the old-fashioned greens and reds and blues that I really like, and this one I bought at Kent, and you can get them, I think, at the dollar store. They're just a little battery-operated thing, and you can put them on your wreath outside. And what I do is to make sure that my mesh and everything and my lights and whatever I put out, I make sure I use those cable ties. And I make sure that they're good and secure, and hold my lights and everything in place on the door, because your door gets a lot of activity, people coming and going. But with the cable, those cable strings, they're really good, and you can bring them in and adjust them and hold them really tight on that. And they won't come off.
Oh, that's a good idea,
They won't
actually.
come off.
I'm always trying to stick my decorations in it. Like yesterday in St. John's and surrounding area, we had a lot of snow, not much wind, but still windy enough to move things. So you're saying that's a good idea to keep them in place,
There'll be no
right?
wind take them down. The wreath will go first before that will go.
Yeah.
But the best thing to use outside is plastic bulbs and that, so that if it does blow down, it doesn't break, And you can buy all different colors, and I do them along my all along my patio and that. And royal blue is very pretty outside when the snow comes down. Very pretty, And some people try to match with their house, but I always find the royal blue, and I use the white wreaths and lights on my coming up my staircase or stairway, and that the steps outside, and I find that that lit up with tied with these and the lights. It's and you can even add some of these lights into your into the decor outside with even into your pots outside if you wanted to. You could put these lights just down in your pot and make your pots light up your pots outside.
Yeah, so I mean, like, all of these seem pretty simple. Like, I mean, you said a lot of this you can get like at thrift stores or Dollarama.
Yes,
so
Dollarama is amazing. I mean, I can't believe the things that these stores carry. It's such a good price, and the quality is good.
Yes.
Little plug for Dollarama.
And also good for the students. A lot of us
for
are
the students, of
unlimited
course,
budgets, right?
Yeah.
Well, Rowena, I'll tell you what, we're going to come back and, pardon me, talk more about Christmas. So take a sip of that water, take a break, and we will be right back, everybody.
We bring you many guests every week.
And I'm a violinist. I'm a fiddler.
Well, Tambolo Multicultural Festival started.
People from all over the world talking about their traditional music.
Zimbabwean folk music, much of the folk music incorporates mbira.
And their cuisine.
Hello, mashed potato. That's all.
They come to share their stories.
They were willing to sponsor me to Canada. Yeah, so that's...
We bring you the immigration issues you want to know about and discuss what the Refugee and Immigrant Advisory Council does to support diversity in Newfoundland and Labrador.
The advice program is how we kind of title that portion of what we do.
Radio React every Saturday, 7 to 8 p.m. only on 93.5 CHMR FM, streaming online at chmr.ca and podcast at radio.react.ca. This program is presented by the Refugee and Immigrant Advisory Council and CHMR FM.
Hey, this is Dean from Collective Soul, and you're listening to 93.5 CHMR.
Oh, I'm newly calibrated, all shiny and clean.
There he goes. And... oh, it's a brilliant! That is a brilliant catch. What I was saying a moment ago, he's not had his best day in the field, Kieran Pollard.
All right, everybody, that is your cue for cricket, and I am going to bring you the latest scores. West Indies went into the final match of the two-test series against Bangladesh, needing a win to at least tie the series and salvage some pride after their poor performance in the first test. Bangladesh had other ideas. Bangladesh chose to bat first, and after a tentative start, their batsmen settled in and finished with a massive total of 508, with Mahmudullah scoring his third Test century as he made a chanceless 136, and Shakib Al Hassan pitching in with 80.
It was almost as good as the catch, but not as good. Look at him make the ground. Look at the air.
Again, in the first test, the entire top order of the West Indies failed, with Simran Hetmeyer being the only specialist batsman in the runs with 39, and wicketkeeper Shane Dorich scoring 37. Of the rest, only Shy Hope with 10 made it into double figures as the West Indies were skittled out for 111 runs. Playing without any seamers in the side, Bangladesh relied on their spinners, and they responded with an outstanding performance on a helpful pitch, with Mehdi Hassan picking up 7 wickets for 58 runs and Shakib 3 for 27.
What a sensational catch from Dwayne Bravo. Injured himself and all. Looks like he's hurt his groin, but a sensational diving catch. Who sent the ball a few times.
Bangladesh enforced the follow-up, and again the West Indies batting order collapsed in spectacular fashion to 29 for 4 as Hope battled cautiously to grind out 25 runs. He was joined at the wicket by Hetmeyer, who took a different, more aggressive approach and clubbed 9 sixes on his way to 93 runs, but it was nowhere near enough. And despite some late fight from the tail enders, the Windies could only make 213.
The right hand. Here, you don't get quite an appreciation of the fact that, oh, I'm stopping. No, I'm going to keep going, and now chuck it out.
It is telling that the top 5 in the West Indies batting order combined for a total of 60 runs in the 2 innings, with Hope scoring 35 of those.
Well, it went in and then went out.
Mehdi Hassan, meanwhile, picked up his second 5 for the match as he took 5 for 59, with Taijul Islam 3 for 40. The win by an innings in 184 runs marks the first time that Bangladesh has won a test match by more than an innings, and coming at home in Dhaka at the culmination of a 2-0 series victory must have made for a long celebration.
It's that time again. The biggest party of sport is back. The defending champions is back. DK, are you ready? East, west, we're the champions. North, south, we're the champions. All road, we're the champions. So we tell them this, we say east, west, we're the champions. North, south, we're the champions. All road, we're the champions. So we tell them this, hey, you know that we run the roads. Represent the country when we born them up. That's when we born them up. Hey, we stop them out one by one. The other teams can't touch me 'cause we born them up. That's when we born them. So we them for six, yes, right them for six. No set them I get licked, so we them for six. Yes, right them for six. No set them I get licked, so we them for six. Six, 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 six. Tell them we ain't them for six, and no set them I get licked, so we tell them, you know that we run the roads. Represent the country when we born them up. That's when we born them up. Hey, we stop them out one by one. The other teams can't touch me 'cause we born them up. That's when we born them. Tell them it's the wicked, 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 wicked. Still in our right, tell them it's wicked, 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 wicked. Super Kumba, tell them it's wicked, 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 wicked. Even Bella, tell them it's wicked, 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 wicked. All I take it as a east, west, we're the champions. North, south, we're the champions. All road, we're the champions. So we tell them this, we say east, west, we're the champions. North, south, we're the champions. All road, we're the champions. So we tell them this, hey, you know that we run the roads. Represent the country when we born them up. That's when we born them up. Hey, we stop them out one by one. The other teams can't touch me 'cause we born them up. That's when we born them. Dara Bravo, Colin Monroe, Dina Shandon, and Chrislin. Dara Bravo, Colin Monroe, Dina Shandon, and Chrislin. DKR, this is for you.
All right, you just heard the great vibes of DJ Bravo. Bowl them out. And that was the great cricket song for the Trinbago Night Riders theme song. My name is Sarojini. I'm the host of Caribbean Connections. All this month, we are doing a Caribbean Christmas kind of theme. And of course, I have here in the studios with me Rowena Courtney Williams, interior decorator and designer of High Notions. And I like to call her extraordinaire. Of course, Rowena, we are going to continue with our conversation. It's informal, guys. You know, we don't want to make it too formal, but one of the things we stopped at were lights, you know, before we went into the cricket break. Yes. And of course, if you want to continue on with lights inside, like, say, on the tree or on the staircase or anything like this, what are your recommendations?
Well, staircases is my forte.
I know that.
Yes. I like the staircase. The first thing I do, especially now we're in a new home, is I always cover the staircase with, I don't use tinfoil, I use the saran wrap. And I cover the staircase first in saran wrap because some of these garlands and it can have wires in it and it can scratch your staircase. So what I do is I cover it with saran wrap, and then I put on the garland. And this year I'm using white, you know. And you can. What I do then is I put my bulbs on in the middle and hang some down each side of the staircase, so that when you walk up the staircase, there's there's little ornaments hanging down, and on the other, and when you come in, you can see the staircase with them hanging on the opposite side. And then what I do then is I put the mesh over that so that the ornaments are kind of, some of them are underneath the mesh, and that looks kind of pretty, just peeking out through under the mesh, you know?
Yeah, but that seems like it is very detailed from what you're saying. So one would have to put aside a bit of time to do this. Am I right?
Yeah. And then your lights, you know, you have your lights, and I've done purple, and it's really pretty. Like, and then when I get down to the bottom of the staircase, I just make a big explosion at the end. I just roll up my garland, and then I put feathers, and gold feathers and purple feathers, whatever, to come out of it, like a big explosion. And then I put some gold bulbs in it. So when you walk in the house, you got first thing that meets you, is your staircase, with the explosion on the front, and it's very pretty,
So, like we said earlier in our little conversation, the wreath on the front door is very important, in setting the theme for coming into the house. So then I would say your staircase might be the second best, right?
Yes, the next thing, when you open the door, most people, you'll see the staircase, and that's, that can be very inviting to, and like I said, I use the colored lights, and sometimes I use the white lights,
Right.
And I'm, like, I don't like skimpy decorating, so I usually have it a nice fluffy garland, and whatever color garland I use on my staircase will be identical to my tree and my fireplace. It will be all a match.
I see. So does it have to match like your wreath, like the color scheme or theme you used on the wreath on your front door? Does it have to, or you can kind of be adventuresome with that?
Oh, you can be adventurous. It doesn't matter. You can have the traditional reds and greens outside, or you can go with pink and white, which I'm doing with gold this year, and to match the decor. And I will be doing the fireplace with the same colors, and I have a white tree this year, and I will be doing the pink and gold and on a white tree, and I have a little gold tree as well that I'll be using in the corner where I got a little space to use that tree,
Right. So, my gosh, you certainly have your job cut out for you, right?
Real soon. Yeah.
Now, we talked about these lights. Like, I know for me, I do the lights on the staircase, but these are plug-ins, right?
Yes.
So, of course, when you run the cords, you kind of have to hide them somehow underneath the lip of the stairs so they don't show. And I like the idea you said about these battery-operated lights. So, are you thinking that would be a great idea for the staircase, perhaps?
You need a lot of them to do that.
Okay.
Most people got to plug in somewhere around, either upstairs at the top of the staircase or down at the bottom. And if not, you can just use the portable ones. But the other ones are they're brighter. And,
I find the ones you plug in are brighter.
Are brighter.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you what. We're just gonna take another little break, but. We talked about being inviting.
Yeah.
So we are going to have a beautiful song here.
Yeah.
And I know I'm playing pentatonics a lot, but they just have such pretty songs to listen to. And this one I've chosen for the occasion. I'll Be Home for Christmas.
I'll be home for Christmas. I'll be home, I'll be home. Oh, I'll be home for Christmas. You can count on me. Please have snow and mistletoe and presents on the tree. Oh, Christmas Eve will find me where the love light gleams. I'll be home for Christmas, if only in Christmas. I'll be home, I'll be home. Oh, I'll be home for Christmas. I'll be home. You can count on me. You can count on me. Have snow and mistletoe and presents on the tree. Christmas Eve will find me where the love light gleams. Oh, I'll be home for Christmas, if only in my dreams. I'll be home for Christmas. I'll be home, I'll be home.
The wonderful rhythms of pentatonics, I'll Be Home for Christmas. And this is one of Rowena's favorite song. It's called Blue Christmas, but it's gonna be Caribbean style. Have fun, guys.
I'll have a blue Christmas without you. It'll be so blue just thinking about you. Decoration arranged on a green Christmas tree won't be the same, dear, if you're not here with me. And when those blue snowflakes starts falling, that's when those blue memories starts calling. You'll be doing alright with your Christmas of white, but then have a blue Christmas. You'll be doing alright with your Christmas of white, but then I'll have a blue Christmas. And when those blue snowflakes starts falling, that's when those blue memories starts calling. You'll be doing alright with your Christmas of white, but then I'll have a blue Christmas.
John Holt, and that was Blue Christmas. My name is Sarojini, and I am the host of Caribbean Connections. We have here in the studio with us today Rowena Courtney Williams, interior decorator and designer. We will be right back.
Volunteering. It can begin with the simplest of gestures. A gift of time, energy, commitment. Something precious that grows stronger with every hand that touches it and grows across communities and through the very fabric of our nation and begins, once again, with the simplest of gestures. To Canada's 6.5 million volunteers, thanks. A message from Volunteer Canada, the Government of Canada, and this station.
If you're a chronic nostalgic who loves the music of Newfoundland and Labrador, tune in to the Newfound Records Radio Hour on CHMR Saturdays at noon. Join host Wayne Tucker as he shines a light on rare gems retrieved from the vinyl deeps and supplements the music of the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s with a generous sprinkling of history and trivia. Relive all kinds of local music, traditional, folk, country, pop, rock, and everything in between. So whether you're a sentimental old-timer who's stuck in a vinyl groove or a newbie eager to hear hard-to-find roots music of Newfoundland and Labrador, tune in to the Newfound Records Radio Hour on Saturdays at noon, where the unexpected is the norm.
Salsa, merengue, bachata, cumbia, reggaeton, and underground tropical beats with DJ Chamba on Ritmo Latino. Saturdays 2 to 4. Saturdays 2 to 4 p.m. Exclusive to 93.5 CHMR FM. Exclusive to 93.5 CHMR FM.
Real time, real audio, real radio. www.mun.ca/CHMR.
Your bumper is a magnet. I stick on like a magnet. A magnet.
Yeah, that's right. It's magnetic. Join Sarojini on Caribbean Connections Fridays at 10. Walk through the sands and hear poetry from our great academics and leaders. Jive with us to soke, reggae, chutney. Hear your cricket results, meet special guests, and more. Every Friday, 8:30 Eastern, 10 Newfoundland time.
Welcome back. My name is Sarojini and I'm the host of Caribbean Connections. The station here is alive and well with Christmas lights and lots of Christmas tips here from Rowena Courtney Williams. We're talking about making your house look extra special. And of course, many of you would have heard by now, you don't need to break the bank. You can do it on a budget. So, Rowena, we stopped at the railing. So that is a good place to move into your mantle, your fireplace. So how would you decorate that?
I make sure it's nice and full. I don't like just a skimpy garland across the fireplace, you know. I like to fill the fireplace in, and if you got something pretty you'd like to stand up into the garland, you can stand it up there, and make sure it's tied on good.
Yeah, especially if it's a real fireplace,
Yes.
not like an electric or
You make sure it's
propane.
tied on good on the back of the fireplace. You can put a little nail, or on the side of your door. You can, if it's close to your little, you know, the door, you can put a little nail there to hold it, because it will go forward.
Yeah,
It will.
I
Yeah.
actually went into some of these hardware stores like like, you know, Home Hardware in Conception Bay South, where I live, and so on. And nowadays, they're selling these stick-on thingies where...
Two-way tape is good.
Yeah, they don't make a mess, but they also have a hook, and you can take them off afterwards, and they don't leave a mess. They don't take the paint off.
No.
Would that kind of work to hold some of these in place, would you say?
Absolutely, yeah. You can use those little hooks, or you can use two-way tape, and it doesn't damage, you know. You can hook your fireplace on. If you don't hook your garland, it's going to fall to the front, especially if you got heavy things on it. So I tend to go heavier on one side of the fireplace than I do the rest. I will go to the left or right or whatever, and I will make a real big, almost like a big ball, of like the topiary tree. Make a big top like that, and sometimes I use my topiary tree and I put it into the fireplace and hide it and use it on the end, and then I make an explosion to match my staircase. So I'd have an explosion on the front of the staircase, and then I make the one on the fireplace to match, and I do an explosion there right on the corner. And you can hang it, keep that one tight to the top of the fireplace, but if you want to hang the other side down, you can hang down, say, 3/4 of the way or whatever, you know.
Yeah, and I've seen your work with different types of fireplaces you've done in your homes. You know, you're in a new one now, and I saw that last year. And you do a really great job, and it's beautiful. But I also noticed several years ago you did a lot of work on one of them, but last year I noticed you made it more subdued. So, I mean, some people don't want to put a lot of it on top the mantle. Yeah. So if you're only, say, putting 3 things you want to put, what would you recommend? What 3 things would you recommend, or 4?
Well, I love big ornaments. Okay. You know, so I usually, like for me, 3 wouldn't go very far.
I know that.
But I use the big ornaments on the right hand. Say if I had the explosion on the left, I'll go to the right and I'll hang the big ornaments hanging right off down over. And I have done like candelabras right over the fireplace as well to match, and then I string my lights up to that and light that up too. But I haven't put any holes in the ceilings in this place yet. But I have done it, and but I usually go, you can put some people like those little houses and stables and things like that. You know, I'm not into that much, but you can put them in as well. Okay. I don't like it when people just put a little bit of, white. But it's not foam, but it's just this white, like a...
Does it look like snow?
Yeah, I don't like it when they just, put that there and then they put the houses on top of it. It doesn't do anything for me. Okay. I like poking it in amongst it and, and going a little bit elaborate. But, 3 ornaments wouldn't do me. That would only be enough for, an inch, 2 inches on one side. Right. But I go to the, like I say, I would go to I do the whole thing, and I will stand up some big ornaments or whatever, something special. I'll stand it up into the garland. And then my lights, of course, and everything. And it's heavy. It can get a bit heavy, And then I go to the right side and hang all the beautiful bulbs down, and,
Awesome. Well, listen, I mean, a lot of students are probably hearing this and listening to the show. So, again, on a budget, you could make it simple. Like right? Yeah. In that case, I know 3 wouldn't go far for you or 4, but for students, they could put some things that may remind them of home wherever they're from.
They can just use the one garland and lights. and lights, and if they don't have crinoline or the little mesh stuff, they can just add a few bulbs into it just to make it Christmassy, Right. And another thing I do that's nice too, is I turn on my TV and it has a fireplace. There's a channel where the fireplace, and you can turn that on and you get the cracking of the fireplace in the background. And people have come in and almost thought I had a fire lit,
Wow, that is a good idea.
Yeah.
I've done that
and me too, just for ambiance.
Yes, yeah. You know what? I can't believe we're coming to the end of the show, but to wrap up, what are your final thoughts? We've said a lot here, but if you were to tell us one thing.
Well, some people are allergic to sprays, and that. But you know, I've noticed around that you can get the organic sprays and organic candles, and you know, like just be careful. I find that the battery-operated little lights are great for dinner. You don't have to go worrying about whether, you know, they're going to run off on their tablecloth or anything. But the little battery-operated ones are great, you know, and there's so much out there now. But like I say, the organic sprays and the organic candles and the little lights and you know, and I put some on the plates if I'm doing tables is one of my fortes too. I love to do the table.
Yes.
And I put those lights, those on the plates as I go along and. With their name and that, you know, and all that makes a difference. And it doesn't have to be expensive, like I said. You know, you can have, you know, your simple, you know, or you can go elaborate like I do.
I know. I want to thank you all for tapping into today's program. And of course, a very special thank you to you, Rowena, for sharing your tips, sharing your knowledge with us so we can all have a fabulous, inviting, and welcoming home for Christmas. And you students who are studying, I want to wish you all well. I know it's a hard time you're going through, but tap into Caribbean Connections if you want to take the stress away. My email is caribbeanconnections2018@gmail.com. And again, a big thank you to Rowena for coming in today. And as you all hang your Christmas stockings and decorations and wreaths, I hope it will bring you joy, love, laughter, and the beauty of Christmas spirit into your home and lives. So as I say farewell, I want you to stay well, stay healthy until next week, and enjoy your weekend. And we're going to close out with another favorite of mine. It's such a beautiful song to track that tie everything together. And it is the Trans-Siberian Orchestra, Christmas Eve in Sarajevo. Bye for now, and take care.
This is 93.5 CHMR FM.
This is a CHMR top of the hour news break.